Alright. So we're broadcasting. Oh. I'll just leave it on. So Jen's gonna go check on one of our babies, but I can do some intro stuff while she does that. So Jen and I are both sick. We've got a horrible cough. So I'm going to do the audio through the webcam because I should have a cap on it. Hopefully I am hearable because I also cranked the volume way down so it didn't blast out anybody listening. So just a little background. Jen and I really enjoyed Age of Sigmar 2nd edition. We didn't care super a lot for 3rd edition. I played Bloodbound, and Bloodbound was quite good in 3rd edition. I really enjoyed my army, but Jen's armies just weren't panning out. Nighthaunt kind of sucked. This was pre everything has a 2-inch range in Nighthaunt, which I think helped them out a lot. But then she was also trying out Lumineth again. She started Lumineth in 2nd, but I didn't like playing against Lumineth, and they weren't even doing well. Like, I was still beating them. So it was just kind of a mess. What's that baby crying about?
Alex, you just need to go to bed.
Mary made you too angry, but Mary's in her bed asleep. She's not harming you. Alright. Well, anyway, so we didn't play that much 3rd edition. We might have even played more 3rd edition in the past few months before the edition went away than we had played prior. So Jen and I are pretty excited about the looks of this edition so far. I think... So Jen, I think for this edition, I really think that endless spells are the new summoning.
Yeah.
So some of these endless spells are very impactful and they're free and you can summon them every round. Many of them, the casting numbers are pretty friggin' low. Like 4s and 6s and stuff.
Wow. That's really low.
So I think that's kind of, they decided to keep free summoning and they decided to put it in the form of endless spells because everybody gets the generic endless spells as long as you have wizards. And I think the idea is, I have a feeling it appears that the faction spell lists are not as powerful as the generic ones, but they have more specialized stuff in them. So I think that's where they're kind of going, is for raw power, you're probably going to be going generic, and everybody has access to that, and then for the more specialized but less powerful stuff, it's going to be your faction. I think that's how they're going to do it. But that means that I think you really want to make sure you have wizards. I think you need at least enough wizards to cast every spell in your spell lore. Unless there's really some stinkers you don't want. So I saw that mini wargaming where it was Soulblight versus Slaves to Darkness, and it was such a shutout. And it was almost exclusively from endless spells. Like, now the guy got lucky rolls, but you shouldn't be able to virtually table somebody the top of turn 1 because you got some lucky rolls on your spells. So I think you're going to need screens really bad, so you got to keep an eye out for what you could use as chaff to block endless spells, one, because, I mean, if they go off, they're off. And also because you can now, supposedly, I haven't checked the rules to know, but Andy 2D6 had mentioned that you can shoot in your opponent's phase and you can charge. So that's another reason you need chaff. So we're going to look at the updated points. These hadn't been available for a long time. I hope that's visible on screen, but we'll see. So I'm not going to read any of this garbage. Well, we'll read a little bit. Regiments of Renown. It looks like we're keeping Regiments of Renown. So they're going to keep putting out legends, of course. So we don't care about Cities of Sigmar. I think the first unit the first army we'll look at is Lumineth. We will look at Cities of Sigmar for just a second to get a baseline. Okay. So just so everybody can see, so the red are your heroes. The blue are your units.
That's a lot of heroes.
So, well, yeah, Cities of Sigmar. So, Jen, if you look here, you'll see where it says regiment options. Mm-hmm. So now it's like you take a hero and he's a regiment and you take units with him.
Yeah.
Like Conquest style is what they're doing. This is not as restrictive as Conquest, but it's a similar idea, I think. But so if you look, so let's say we want to take a battle mage, you're allowed to take any human infantry in his regiment. So what that tells us is we can't take any of these elves, we can't take any of these dwarfs, and we can't take this human cavalry in his regiment.
So take one of those 3 human infantry options.
Yeah, there might be some more, but that's basically how to understand this. And then you'll notice certain heroes, like this one, say he can join as a shadow agent.
Yeah.
So you need to look for somebody that's allowed shadow agents. So here we go. So a sorceress or a sorceress on Black Dragon is allowed 0 to 1 shadow agent and any elves. Okay. So that's kind of what's restricting your little heroes. And then these notes, I kind of assume that if it doesn't have a thing that says this hero can join as you can't put them in they have to be an auxiliary unit or something else.
That's what I would assume.
Yeah. We also have base sizes here, which I thought was pretty nice.
Yeah.
So just to get a baseline on points, so we know like Bleak Swords is like your basic, nothing special about Bleak Swords. They're about 100 points, right? I don't have their war scrolls right now, but generally Bleak Swords are about as generic as you can get with infantry. Steel Helms, again, that's the basic human, 100 points. I do know that they're supposed to be able to be healable. Dread Spears, 110. So your crappy infantry appears to be about 100 to 110. Blackguard should be elite infantry. Again, I don't know their war scrolls, but they're 130. Dark Shards, a shooting unit, 140. Okay, so it looks like about 100 to 150. Hammerers, another good infantry unit. Well, classically good, 150. Do they have Demigryph Knights here? I don't know if they even have those anymore. They might be here, and I might just be not seeing them. War Hydra, 220. Yeah, I don't know what they'd even be called. Drake, Dread Spears, Drake Spawn, Dark Shards, Dark Riders. I don't see them. Yeah, I don't see them. I don't think they have them. They might just be in the old world now. But here's a monster, about 220. Steam Tank. Steam Tanks should be pretty formidable, about 300. Right, so that's what we're looking at is the 200s to the 300s for monsters. And let's see here. Drake Spawn Knights, 180. But if I recall, they're kind of crappy. All right. Daughters of Cain, Witch Elves, 110. Sisters of Slaughter, 110. But if they've got knives, they're 130. So like 100 to 130 seems like about what you expect to pay for infantry.
Yeah.
Doomfire Warlock's 150. That seems cheap.
Well, it looks like they're not a battle line anymore, so it's like just infantry.
Oh no, yeah, there's no more battle line. There's no more battle line anymore. So I think everything has to pull its weight. It has to have something about it that makes you want it. All right, so here's Lumineth. Teclis is 590. Venari Blade, Banner Blade. This is your only Paragon. But if you look, like almost everybody can take him. Stoneheart King is 410. What's a gosh, what do you call the generic Lord of the Mountains or whatever?
Oh, the Alarith. He's an Alarith guy.
Maybe they don't have them anymore. Sonari.
Oh, there's a Stoneheart King. He's 410.
Yeah, but he's the special character.
They're not. I don't know if they're leaders. I think they're just behemoths.
Oh, you're right. It's just a unit. Alarith Monster. Alarith Spirit of the Mountain, 330. So you're paying 330 for your mountain.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably okay. The River Blades are 140. I don't know what to think about that.
I don't either. You don't have
So the Wardens and the Sentinels are pretty expensive, considering. So the Wardens are the spear guys, right?
Yeah.
140. And then the Sentinels are 150.
Mm-hmm.
Wind Chargers are 170. That actually feels kind of cheap. Maybe.
Since you can shoot in your opponent's turn, I don't know what their war scrolls look like now, but they used to be able to move all over the place and just shoot, so I would assume they'd be expensive.
Yeah, they'd probably be a good... Stone Guard's only 130. And then Ballista 130. River Blades. Now your River Blades seem to be 0 to 1. See, like, the Lord Regent can take one. You know, a few of these other guys can take them. But it's 0 to 1 per regiment. So if you had 4 regiments, I guess you could still have like 4 units of them.
Mm-hmm.
Blade Lords 140. That's interesting. So the Blade Lords and the Wardens are the same cost. You get 10 guys in the Wardens and 5 guys in the Blade Lords. And remember, you can only reinforce once.
Yeah.
So max unit size 20 for those guys and 10 for the lower guys. So a Spirit of the Wind is also is just a unit.
A behemoth. Yeah, you have to have the named one to be a leader.
So how can we take those? Do we have to take the Stoneheart King? Any Venari,
Wardens.
Aurelian Wardens.
Or the Alarith. So you can go with the spear guys or any Alarith.
Auralan Wardens. Venari, any Venari Auralan Wardens.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Those are the spears.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I was getting confused there. Hurricane Wind Mage, any Hurricane. Okay, so it's saying any Alarith for the Alarith guys, so you can put mountains in there. You don't have to take a Venelor. You could just take a Stone Mage, and you could put your mountains in the Stone Mage's thing. That's what I was...
He can go by himself.
A Velenor?
Oh, you mean like... Okay, so the...
I'm saying you're not locked to getting a Velenor if you want mountains.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think that'd be a little fucked up if they did that. Like, if they were just like, yeah, the only way to get a mountain in here is if you already take, like, almost 500-point character. You know what I'm saying? But no, you're allowed... The same thing with wind spirits and stuff. You don't have to take the special character.
So when you build it now, you build the leader, and then from there you can pick the other guys. So can you have the guys by themselves without a leader? Or do they have to have a hero in them?
So here's the thing, Jen. It's not like 40K where this guy's leading the unit. It's literally like a mini regiment. So it's the Stone Mage plus 3 other units, for example. So let's say you did a Stone Mage, two hammers, and a cow.
Okay, I think
they're completely separate units.
Yeah.
They're part of the same regiment, and they'll drop as one, but they're completely separate units. It's not like the Stone Mage has to be leading the one unit he has with him. Now
that makes sense, though.
you can take separate units. They're called auxiliaries, but you take a penalty for it. So you want to try to keep everybody in regiments if you can. Your general's regiment, you can have 4 extra units. Everybody else is just 3. So I'd have to see how this shakes out, because they seem expensive.
I think they were kind of supposed to be, because they were elite. They were more elite.
Now, they shouldn't be that fragile. Last edition, they had multiple wounds. You know what we can do? I know where the... Hang on. Lumineth rumors. Let's just look at the Lumineth rumors to get an idea. So one of the big things is healing, I think, is going to be a real big deal in this edition. And I don't know... Apparently you cannot heal in your spearhead. I don't know if that means you can't heal in the real game either. What's going on? Oh, this is AOS discussion. Oops, that's not the leaks. Alright. It's way up here. Here we go. Alright, this Google Doc. Let's pull this over. Okay. Oh, look, they had the points on there too. I don't care. Avelinor. Let's take a quick look at him. So Avelinor has 16 wounds and a 3+ save. What else does he have? Fire Stealer Hammer. 6 attacks, 3+ to hit, 2+ to wound, 2 rend, 4 damage. So he looks like he can put out a lot of damage.
Yeah, they were pretty fighty, the mountains.
Yeah.
That's why you were always so excited when you sent one into the Tzeentch land of torture.
Into the realm of chaos.
Yeah, the realm of chaos, which will be torture for a mountain. Or you dropped a big giant brass head on the other one.
Yeah. Pick 3 different friendly Alarith elf units wholly within 12 inches. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of their melee weapons for the rest of the turn.
I used to do that all the time to the hammer guys.
Costs you a command point now. What's this? Unbreakable Bulwark. If this unit did not charge, roll a dice on a 2+, subtract 1 from the rend characteristic of the target's melee weapons for the rest of the turn, and add 1 to the attack characteristic of this unit's weapons for the rest of the turn.
Yep.
So there's a chance it'll fail.
It used to never fail.
Yeah, now it's a 2+. Supposedly everything has a roll now. I don't know how true that is. Alright, let's look at Stone Guard real quick. 2 wounds, 4+ save, still super slow. Fortitude of the Earth. 5+ ward if all the models are contesting an objective you control. So my understanding that a 4+ ward is a really big deal defensively. So these guys should be tough. They've got 2 wounds. They've got a good 4+ save. That seems like a decent value. All right, let's look at the wardens. And I know I'm not sharing this on the video, but whatever. These are leaks. I don't want to expose anybody. 2 attacks, 2+ to hit, 4+ to wound.
3+ to hit.
Yeah, 3+ to hit, 4+ to wound. So they do mortal damage if they get 6s to hit. It's mortal wounds. That's what Sunmetal did.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have anti-charge 1 Ren. So if you charge them, they've got 1 Ren. Wall of Blades. If this unit did not charge this turn and is in combat with an enemy unit that charged it this turn, roll a dice. Add 1 to the roll if the enemy's cavalry. On a 4+, this unit has strike first for the rest of the turn. Okay, so you have a chance to get strike first on them. So
I wonder if they got rid of their Shining Company.
Shining Company, I thought you saw this. It's actually in the faction focus. So here's how this shit works. You have a facet of war. You can pick 1 facet of war, I think, per round. Start of the battle round, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So Shining Company is -1 to hit against all Venari for the rest of the battle round. Okay, so you have to choose it now. So it's not on all the time. Power of Hish.
That's their spellcasting when they used to cast.
These are 5+ crits.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be getting their mortals on 5 pluses. Yeah, exactly. And then Deep Thinkers, +1 to casting rolls for Sonari. And then Enduring as a Rock is a facet. Subtract 1 from the Ren characteristic of weapons against Alarith. And then Haru can get a facet. Each target can move distance up to its move characteristic and cannot move into combat and cannot use shoot abilities for the rest of the turn. When do you declare this? Pick up to 3 Hurricane units that are not in combat. Each target can move a distance up to its move characteristic. It cannot move into combat during any part of that move, and it cannot use shoot abilities for the rest of the turn. I don't know how I feel about that. It's basically a bonus move. In the hero phase, you get a bonus move, but you're not going to be able to shoot that turn.
No, it's your shooting phase. It's a shooting phase.
Oh! Yes, your shooting phase. You're right. Okay. So this is, you always have lightning reactions. This is kind of a big deal. You get to pick 2 units every time you pick a unit to fight.
Oh yeah, they had that before.
Yeah. But, so now you have to pick what facet of war you're using. So...
You know, it seems kind of like a nerf.
It is.
Because you don't get it all at the same time, but I think I like it. Because... I mean, it's more situational now. You gotta pick it.
Yeah. Well, there's something more to it. You're not always -1 to hit. You have to decide, I'm doing -1 to hit this round, or I'm going to do a damage buff this round, or I'm going to increase my spell casting, which is probably what you're going to do most of the time this round. But, just as an opponent, I prefer it. Now it's a choice, so I don't think I'm going to get, like, as ass blasted about you being -1 to hit all the time, because even if you always chose -1 to hit, it's still, there's an opportunity cost there. You're missing out on something else. But we'll see. Wind Chargers, 12-inch, 14-inch move. A lot of stuff lost huge amounts of move. 14 inches is still big on these guys. Supposedly most cavalry went up to 3 wounds.
Oh, nice.
And these guys can shoot in close combat too.
Mm-hmm. I think
3
that
plus
would
to
be
hit,
good.
4 plus to wound, 1 rend, 1 damage. That seems like a very good shooting attack compared to how shooting attacks are nowadays. Oh, and they can't take wards against your wind chargers. The Dawn Riders, they're more like heavy cavalry now. 3 plus save, 3 health. So we'll just have to play these guys and see how they are. They don't seem so bad. Oh, and then I think you can... I don't know what they're saying exactly here, but I don't know what your armies are. We'll fuck around with that later. What are your initial thoughts about Lumineth, Jen?
We gotta play them. I'm hopeful. I was really hoping they kind of did something like that, because I was hoping you wouldn't be so angry to play them, and I get to play them.
I don't like... Well, you can play them, but you're right, I don't really care for them. But that was the thing that frustrated me too, was it was like not only were they a pain in the ass to play against, but you weren't really winning your games with them either.
I kept summoning bullshit to kill my mountains.
Well, hey, you know what? Magic's even worse now, so you're just gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Beasts of Chaos are basically dead. I know they're still temporarily in the game, but they're basically gone. Blades of Corn. So, I'm interested to look at Slaves to Darkness because everybody's saying they're crazy overcosted. And if that's true, I think it's because their battle trait freaking sucks. It's suffering from what Night Haunt used to have. Remember how Night Haunt in 3rd edition, it was just hitting the slot machine? It's like, it's possible I could give you Strike Last and -1 to hit.
And -1 to bravery or something else.
Save. -1 save.
Yeah.
So it was just like, you know, there's a chance you could just wreck somebody on a charge, but it was so unlikely. Most of the time it's just like, oh, here you go, -1 to hit or whatever. Just use a command point to pretend like that's not there. I mean, it was kind of impactful, but they had to try to balance the army around the idea of potentially you could give an enemy army-wide fucking Strike Last or something like that. And they just took a pounding. They sucked all edition pretty much from what I understand. Giving them 2-inch range for a lot of their infantry, I think, helped. But
That helped a lot. We were able to have
Yeah.
games again when they did that,
yeah,
instead of just sweep fest.
but the other thing is, so I think that's what happened to Slaves to Darkness, because you know what Slaves to Darkness, Eye of the Gods is now?
What?
Anytime pretty much any unit kills an enemy unit, they get a permanent buff for the rest of the game. And I think they even stack. But it's just shit like...
That sounds really strong on paper, but you're hoping you kill somebody.
Well, it sounds strong on paper, but how would you balance that, right? Like if you're running around with a unit that has +1 to hit forever and -2 rend or some shit, you know, you've probably got to point that pretty high. But the implication there is they're going to probably be damaged, right? Like even though it's got this colossal buff,
Yeah.
after chewing through a unit or two, they're probably not going to be much of them left. And I think they just were like, oh, we'll solve that by overcosting everything. I don't know, but right now we're going to look at Bloodbound. So Blood Reavers is basically the lowest points I think you can get, which is 100 for 10 points a model. Bloodletters are double that, they're 200. I think Bloodletters can be dangerous though. Blood Crushers, who cares? I don't play them. Blood Warriors are 210. That feels very expensive for Blood Warriors to me. We'll just have to compare the stuff when it comes out, but it feels like because it seemed like there were some pretty good infantry units out there for like 160, 180. So 210 seems steep for Blood Warriors. Cause of Karanak for 120 seems a little high. Like I say, we got no real idea. 110 for Flesh Hounds. Flesh Hounds, I think, are going to be a little hard to take, which is frustrating. I'll have to figure out how to squeeze them in.
They were your screen, I thought, when you go get objectives, guys.
Mighty Skull Crushers are 260. I'm hoping that that's not too expensive for them, because they're extremely tanky, and I'd probably use them to screen. And then Skull Reapers are 220. That's interesting. So you're trying to tell me that Blood Warriors are worth the same as Skull Reapers, just about. And I doubt that.
No, you only get 5 Skull Reapers, you get 10 Blood Warriors.
Wow.
Half the price.
I'd rather have 1 Skull Reaper than 3 Blood Warriors most of the time, so
Yeah,
I'm still getting a big savings.
Or they were strong. I don't know what
No, I think they're still pretty good. They should be a very effective unit. Maybe they're not anymore, but like I say, I feel like Blood Warriors are too expensive, and I don't even know. I'm not even looking at their War Scroll guys. So this is one of the things that scares me about Blades of Corn, is it seems like there are a lot of very easy to cast endless spells, and a Corn player is never going to be able to cast any of them. So I do have incantations, but none of them are quote-unquote easy to cast, and they're certainly not first turn easy to cast. So, you know, I need like a 4 or a 5+ for them, if I recall. And that's just 1 die, right? I just roll 1 die and hope that I get a 4+. Supposedly, if I don't roll a 1, I can save points up for the next round. It kind of makes the prayer more guaranteed. But where I'm sitting here probably hoping to get 1 or 2 prayers off, there's a good chance my opponent's got 3-4 endless spells on the table, so we'll have to see. The Hex Skulls, supposedly still very good at anti-caster stuff. And then my other ones, like my Axe, is supposed to be a good fighty spell. So we'll see. But that kind of makes me... I mean, I've always taken a lot of priests, but I feel like you're going to want at least 3 priests. And hopefully we have a trait that can make a guy a priest. I don't know if we're going to get that, but it was a thing back in Slaves to Darkness. So you never know. I might be able to make a normal guy a priest. So let's see here. I'd like to be able to take Flesh Hounds. It looks like the easiest way is to take Karanak. These Bloodbound guys don't seem to allow you to take demons or Flesh Hounds, so it looks like Karanak is the easiest way to do that. Unless I actually make like a demon wing, which I could do, I guess, but I'd rather not. And then my baby heroes are Bloodbound Warmongers. And it looks like I can take them with a Mighty Lord. And it's just the Mighty Lord that can take the Bloodbound Warmongers. I don't know why I would want to do that, but it is an option. Okay. So we'll see. Blood Reavers, I think that's about as cheap as infantry gets. It's 100. Flesh Hounds aren't bad at 110. Skull Reapers might be worth it at 220. But you gotta think, it's kind of hard to imagine that for just a few more points I can get Skull Crushers. Does Skull Reapers have to be really good? Like they have to, for their points, put out significantly more damage than Blood Reavers for me to want to take them. Otherwise it seems better just to spam Blood Reavers. Alright, Disciples of Tzeentch. I've got Tzeentch that I could play. I might play them in this game at least a few times. They have a really interesting burn mechanic, where essentially, like, your demons with fire can make an enemy unit like burning, and when that unit's burning, you have other abilities that can trigger off that. And I think they take some damage at the end of the round too. Hedonites. I might check out Hedonites this edition too. I've got a whole bunch of old Slaanesh demons and stuff. Magacan. Okay, Skaven. Let's take a quick look at Skaven. So if you look here, Clan Rats are a serious horde unit, because you could take them in units of 40 if you want.
One or two Plague Monks too.
Yeah, Plague Monks are also huge spam. And interestingly enough, Plague Monks are cheaper than Clan Rats. I wonder why they did that. Because Plague Monks should actually be a little more specialized.
One's Pestilence and the other is
Verminous, yeah.
I don't know what that means.
It's the, I think it's going to talk about who's allowed to take us. So if you look, Claw Lords can take any Verminous. Graciers can take any Skaven. And then, like, the Master Molder can take Molders. Plague Priest can take Pestilence. So that's how they're restricting them, is by their type.
I don't know if my pulse usually just goes right to that.
Yeah, it's just to be in an old grump. So these guys can definitely spam, and I have a feeling that some of the undead can. But spoiler alert, I already looked at Night Haunt, and they can't. So 160. That's 8 points a Skaven. So a Blood Reaver is only 2 more points than a fucking Clan Rat. That's very interesting to me. Because that's not a big difference, really. And then Night Runner's 130. And then 7 points for a Plague Monk. That actually feels a little expensive. Not the Plague Monks. The Plague Monks seem cheap as all get out. I think they should be a deal. I don't know what their War Scroll looks like, so maybe I'm wrong. But that doesn't seem like a big deal. But 8 points for a Clan Rat feels high. I could be very wrong about that. You know, with healing, they could be just like an indestructible unit. But you know, I'm not paying that many more points for Blood Reavers. Let's see. Storm Vermin. They're basically 10 Storm Vermin's cheaper than 20 Clan Rats. See, like, that kind of thing's interesting. Is you gotta ask yourself, like, I guess if Storm Vermin are bad, you wouldn't want to take them. Storm Fiends, T60, that seems pretty expensive. Especially because a Hell Pit's T70. I'd have to see what their damage output is now to see if I had a good idea. Alright, Chaos. Supposedly very overcosted. Chosen 250 for 5. I think I was paying more for my guys. Let's double check. Alright, 250 for the Chosen. Skull Reaper's 220, significantly cheaper actually. Well, I'm saying 40 points is nothing. 30 points cheaper. Skull Reapers should have a much worse save than the Chosen, but their damage output should be higher. We'll have to see. At least on par with them. but there's no real telling. But for 10 points more than the Chosen, I can get some Skull Crushers. And Blood Warriors this again, to me, that seems like they're crazy too high. For an extra 40 points, I could get Chosen. For an extra 10 points, I could get Skull Reapers. I don't know how I feel about that, but the points will shake out as the game progresses. Like, they'll be able to patch up the points once real people play the game. Alright. Chaos Warriors 200. My goodness. I have a feeling that's why Blood Warriors are so overpriced, is because Chaos Warriors are 200 and they're like, well, we can't make Corn Chaos Warriors cheaper. They're the same model, basically. Who knows? Never. Okay, so something's wacky going on here. Chaos Knights are 250 points.
What?
5 Chosen are 250 points. Now, old school, like, those Knights should be so much more valuable than those Chosen. It's ridiculous, because, like, they should be faster. They should be defensively identical or better. They're probably the same number of wounds, because, like, Chosen are a high wound infantry. Mm-hmm. But they should have the same saves. And the damage output for Chosen shouldn't be that much better than Chaos Knights. So it's very strange to me that they're the same cost.
Those are pretty expensive costs, though. What do you have that's 100? Your Marauders, aren't those like just the trash that would stay in the back?
Yeah, Marauders, they're basically like Bloodbound. Savagers, this is it's a Warcry warband. Mm-hmm. There's still a couple of them in the game. Most of them are gone. Formoroid Crusher, 150. But if you think about it, so this is something I was talking about while you were gone. So the Khorne version of the Chosen are Skull Reapers. Skull Reapers are only 220 points.
Yeah.
So they're 30 points cheaper. That just seems crazy to me. And then Warriors are 200. Blood Warriors are 10 points more. I don't know. I feel like somebody's off base with that. I could be completely wrong, but some of this infantry seems too expensive. And like I say, we don't know. I don't. We're gonna just play this stuff to figure it out. Fell Riders, which is the fast cav, the junk cav, is 150, so 100 points cheaper than Knights. But it's like you're losing a functional unit for that 100 points, I feel like. Yeah. We'll have to see if they can do anything or if they're worth anything, because that feels too expensive for just a mobile chaff. So, I don't know. We'll see what these guys turn out to be. Archeon, 900 points. He's an 890. Mm-hmm. Abraxia is 360. What's the Vanguard? I don't see them. Oh, here we go. See, this is crazy. Vanguard should be significantly stronger than Knights. They're only 60 points more than Knights.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Theridons are 200 points.
They're sounding like they were going for super elite just from the points, but
yeah.
I
well, and we saw essentially
like that's more elite than Lumineth. That's like a lot.
Yeah. Lumineth seemed a little high, but they didn't seem super high.
They seemed right to me.
Good.
I think. I don't know.
They kind of seem right to me, just on gut feeling.
I'm just trying to compare them to last edition.
So I don't know what's going on here. Furies are even 100 points. I think that's might be too expensive for them. because there's only 6 of them, and I don't think they have any special defensive stat. You just 6 damage, poof, there goes a 100-point unit.
Yeah.
And Chaos Legionaries are only 90.
I'm really worried to see what happened to my hunters. My objective hunters. I forget what they're called.
Oh, yeah, if they're even in your list anymore. Well, we're getting to death. So, I don't know. People might be right. Maybe slaves is too expensive. Maybe corn is too expensive in some things. So, but I think we have enough cheap stuff or enough fair, pointed stuff that as long as the War Scrolls don't suck, I think corn's fine. The thing that scares me most about corn is not having endless spells, but having the endless prayers, and I think they're just going to be much less reliable. They'll be more reliable to cast turn 2. They're going to be almost guaranteed rollouts on turn 2 unless you roll a 1.
Unless they completely changed how they
turn
worked.
1. The rules are out, so we can look at the rules. But I'm telling you based on the new rules. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm telling you right there, is based on the new rules, you keep old prayer points that aren't used, and then they go to the next prayer. But I think a 1, it always fails, and you lose all your points. Flesh Eater Courts. So I've been looking for a second army to devote myself to in Age of Sigmar, and I can't find one. And Flesh Eater Courts is one I was really interested in doing.
Yeah, I remember you were interested in the lore of them and stuff.
Yeah, and I wanted to play them, but I think I don't like free summoning, and they were still just a free summon bomb.
Gosh, is 880? How much was Archeon? Wasn't he 890?
Yeah. Oh no, Archeon might have been 900. Let's take a look.
He was just under. He was 890.
Yeah, so Archeon's 10 more points than Nagash.
There is no way Archeon is stronger than Nagash, unless they, kick Nagash in the butt.
Archeon has always been stronger than Nagash.
Well, in lore, didn't he, defeat him or something?
Yeah, he killed his ass.
Yeah.
He hit him so hard, he made him retarded. I'm not joking, that was the lore.
I remember that. That's why he, thinks he's so good or something.
No, that's why he's he literally lost his mind. If you read the I forget his name, Josh Reynolds. If you read the Josh Reynolds fucking Nagash stuff, he's always kind of fucking out of his mind, and he's got PTSD from him.
Oh, yeah, I remember that from the one I read. But on the table, Nagash able to summon 6 spells a freaking turn.
Well, it's all you're doing is casting fucking arcane missile over and over again.
No, he could do
his whole lore of his army he was in, plus arcane missile. But what I used to see all the time was just arcane missile spam.
Plus any death. So if you're fighting a death.
Oh yeah, if you happen to be
all of your stuff
in the mirror match, yeah.
Which sucked when I had to do him versus Nighthaunt.
Yeah.
And then he could use endless spells. So he was just casting 3 endless spells at me. Yeah. Back when the guy had to pay for those.
But so like I say, I might consider looking at these guys. They're a spam. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is something I was talking about when you were out. I think clan rats are too expensive. They're 8 points a model. And even the relatively expensive chaff, the 100-point chaff, that's 10 points a model. They're not that much cheaper. In fact, even these crypt ghouls are cheaper than clan rats. That's cheaper than clan rats. So I'm not sure. Clan rats might be a little expensive. I think they have a lot of healing, but you'd think fucking Flesh Eater Courts would have a lot of healing too, right?
Yeah. 290 and 280 for the Terrorgeist and Zombie Dragon.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Zombie Dragon.
That's probably fair. So I don't know. These guys might be cool, but all right. So Night Hunts. This is the ones we're interested in. All right. So first off, you don't have any 20-mans, so you're not going to be spamming out those insane hordes. You can do 20-man reinforced units, but
there's still 80 points.
The Briar Queen's gone.
What? Why did they take
almost
that out?
almost all the Shadespire warbands are gone, and most of the
Warcry.
The newest stuff is still here, like the Pyregeists.
Yeah.
You still have Pyregeists.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit Hosts, that's probably a good price for Spirit Hosts, 130, because they're supposed to be tanky. I don't know if they are still, but Banshees 120. If they still have like good anti-spell, you probably want them. I think spells are going to be terrors, man. So you may not know this, Jen, but like even back in Warhammer Fantasy, they had like Storm of Magic and shit like that. They always were obsessed with like having these horrifyingly nasty spells just running around the table.
Yeah.
This is the one edition where I think they're finally going to have it. Because literally both armies can easily get 3, and they can have them out at the same time, and they're very impactful.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have a lot of endless spells. I think you're going to have a lot of endless spells this edition. So you might want, if Mirrenmorn Banshees actually have good anti-magic tech, you're probably going to want them.
Yeah. I got my Stalkers still. They're not tanky at all, but they're still just 80 points.
Hex Race 160, that's pretty cheap for cavalry that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Your Grimghasts are basically 14 points a model.
Yeah. And the Herodins
Dread Scythes,
are even
150.
more, which kind of makes sense, because I think they're better.
Well, you have to remember now, everything has a 3-inch combat range. Everything. There's no more weapon ranges. It's all 3 inches.
Oh, everybody has 3 inches to hit?
Everybody and everything. So now all of a sudden, Grimghasts don't have reach. So Dread Scythes are probably... You probably get something for that 10 points. I'm thinking they're probably just better. Dreadblade Harrows, 160 for 2. It's probably worthwhile. Craven Throne Guard. Those are your teleporting guys. Those are your mini horses.
Yeah. You get 2 of them now?
You always
used to
did.
Be leaders.
Well,
so
now it's a unit
one.
or 2. So that's a good price, and they've got some good stuff. I remember looking at them, and they like increase your like objective control and stuff like that. They have a few things. Chain Rats, 10 for 100. That's the same as everybody else gets. You can't complain. You might want more, but Blade Geist, 150. So all your special infantry is about 150.
Yeah.
That makes me wonder if you're even going to field Chain Rasps. I mean, I guess you're saving 50 points, but we'll have to see how it turns out. Black Coach, 260. Supposedly the Black Coach is good now. Supposedly it gives you a good AoE buff. So you probably get to run it.
The Chain Rasps, I love my little port Chain Rasps, but they've been, every edition since I played them, taking away what made them so good. 40-man block of protection can't happen in 3rd, and now they can't even string out because of their smaller base size. So they're not even the screen that they used to be.
Yeah, I know. So that went from being like a 40-man horde, which Jen used to field. Sometimes she'd field 30s or 20s, but they're 40-man horde.
I would have a 40 and a 20.
Yeah. Now, so then in 3rd, they were max 30 a unit. And I don't even think you took units of 30. And then in 3rd, you used to be able to have a straight line because they're small bases. Mm-hmm. Now you can't. Now they're going to have to double up again. And the unit's even smaller. It's a max 20. So we'll just have to see. This is an army you're probably going to have to play a lot.
Yeah.
Now, you can get 5+ ward pretty easy. I don't remember how to do it, but you can get it pretty easily. And I think that's supposedly, the way somebody described it in a video, was that is your answer to all-out defense. And I actually think it's better than all-out defense. Instead of +1 save, you get a 5+ ward. It's just, I think it's legit stronger, especially since you can't get any rend on your save. So some of these guys are Cursed Souls. The Lord Executioner, the Scriptor Mortis, he's the book guy.
Yeah, the book guy.
and Karen Wraith. I don't know why you'd ever take a Karen Wraith. Maybe he's good now. Who knows? So, and you can take a Cursed Soul with several of these guys.
A lot of them.
Any infantry. Alrock can take anybody.
Alrock can take anybody.
You'd assume Oleander can take anybody. Yeah, any Night Haunt.
Yeah.
Kurdos, any Night Haunt. Reichner, where's Reichner? Any Night Haunt.
Yeah.
Nagash, obviously any Night Haunt. Lord Executioner, any infantry. Guardian of Souls, Karen Wraith, infantry. And then I think your mounted guy, your cavalry, yeah. Knight of Shrouds on Steed, you can take cavalry.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking so far about these?
No, I'm
guys?
thinking they look interesting. I remember I really liked the change to you got to pick what to use.
Yeah. Your points seem fine on first glance.
I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do for my chaff. I have to figure that one out because the chain gasps or the chain rasps were my.
Well, this is the thing. Let me just tell you, you're not by yourself here. Everybody wants chaff, and nobody's got it. 100 points for a throwaway unit is painful for anybody, especially if it's going to double up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, honestly, think about this for a second. These fucking Craven Throne Guard on a 32mm base probably cover more area than a 25mm chain rasp.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're 5-men, so you don't have to double them up.
To.
You just have, I think you would actually...
And they're the shooters.
Yeah, I think you would actually get more area...
From the guard than the chain rasps.
Yeah. Glaive Wraith Stalkers. Your Glaive Wraith Stalkers are kind of cheap,
Yeah,
though.
they're still nice and cheap.
That's interesting. We'll have to see what they look like. Death is the last people getting... No, I think Destruction maybe is the last people getting stuff. So, Order is tomorrow.
Oh, they're releasing it?
Yeah. Chaos is the day after. And I think Death is the day after and Destruction's last. I could be wrong. So, I don't know. I think they look pretty good.
Yeah, I'm excited to both Lumineth and Night Haunt.
Let's take a glance at the old...
Do. Like, Lumineth didn't change so much. I still know I want my Wardens and I want my Sentinels. And I want, I still want to get those Blade Lords out there.
Yeah.
If I get to play them, I'm probably going to get another unit of Wardens. So I can have 2, like, lines of them. Because not only are they're not chaff, but they're a good screen because when you charge them, they get buffs.
No, yeah, maybe you don't need chaff. Maybe you just have to rely on decent units being able to tank.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That's an interesting idea. Or maybe you can use cavalry to tie stuff up that's really dangerous. I don't know. Or maybe if you can hold on your tanky stuff, then you can charge in with cavalry or something. I don't know. Some of it will have to do with your spells, how the spells work. You might have a lot of spell damage you can put out.
And here is the massive...
Soul Blight Great Lords, yep. Grand Alliance Death, they used to call it. Okay, the True Blades are in. That's the, kind of the Japanese-looking vampires. With that big Oni vampire monster. We have those. They have not been assembled. Black Knights, 160.
Yeah, and the Blood Knights are 230.
It's probably fair.
They should. If they're still following what they used to, I think that is fair. Because Blood Knights were nasty.
Well, that's interesting though because they should be just as good, if not better, than Chaos Knights. Now the Chaos Knights do get Mark of Chaos, and that's the other thing that's hurts Slave to Darkness is they still have Marks of Chaos, and they still have Mark of Nurgle, which is -1 to wound all the time, which is very, very strong. And they have Mark of Khorne, which is +1 attack on the charge, which is also pretty strong. So I guess that's why this could be an identical War Scroll to Chaos Knights, and I could see it being 20 points less because they don't get those type of buffs.
Yeah.
They get healing, I'm going to assume, but they don't get those kind of buffs.
The corpse cart, the zombies, 20-man zombies.
Yeah, so they're 7.5 points. So
Yeah.
actually, the zombies
Are still cheaper than the rats. But
are
they're close.
more
They're
expensive than
ghouls.
plague monks.
Oh, plague monks?
Plague monks and ghouls, yeah. I wonder why they did that. Well, maybe because they couldn't make everything too cheap. But that's interesting because they're not very good, from what I've seen, zombies. And I don't know if they get a lot of buffs or what, but... skeletons, so that's your only horde unit is the zombies. Skeletons, 100 point for 10. That's what you expect.
10, 140.
For the speed, probably.
Yeah.
They're probably not much different than the other guys, but you're paying for that speed. Fellbats, again, they're going to be pretty fast. They're 30 points apiece. Graveguard.
Yeah. No,
They're only 10 points. Well, no, they're 40 points more, 50 points more than that.
Yeah, the other one, like, I don't think I'm going to get anywhere near finishing my goal of trying to get these things painted, but...
I don't know why. Virkos Bloodborne. I'm not sure who these guys... Oh, those are the Cursed City.
Yeah.
The Cursed City werewolf vampires.
Mm-hmm.
And then they still have the Night Guard. So they still have these Cursed City...
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, Captain Halgrim. So... These guys are going to have a lot of spell casting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's freaking horrifying. And you can probably bunker up behind zombies and just cast away. And then you can probably just use wolves to do objectives.
Yeah.
And then maybe knights to clear somebody out. I could see... I can at least envision exactly how I would play Soulblight Gravelords. I would hoard up to keep my vampires and spellcasting safe. I'd blast out magic and incantations. And then I would use faster units to try and take objectives. I could see that being very effective. Bone Splitters are dead. Goodbye. They did their best with Bone Splitters. They actually made Bone Splitters kind of cool. That they were like monster hunters and they would steal like monster juju and stuff. We'll move to Warhammer Legends the 1st of June 2025. Gloomspike Gits, who cares? Iron Chairs, who cares? Cruel Boys, supposedly Cruel Boys are very strong right now. I don't know how true that is, but supposedly they're pretty good. Ogres, I don't care. Sons of Behemoth.
Cruel Boys, the ones with the cool, like, vulture that they got to wear.
Yeah, they got the vulture.
Finally good. They deserve to be good. They're so
supposedly they sucked all last edition. I don't know if that's true, but that's what people are saying.
You kept telling me off of it because they sucked as soon as they came out, and I was like, no, they're so cool. And then we went through their like online rules and tried to make a list. It's like, it doesn't work. You can't have this guy with who you want to have him with because it doesn't buff him right. You just got little, like 4 different pieces of different puzzles, and none of them work right.
No, it was just trash.
I was so annoyed. It was like, I want to just proxy this army, and I can't even do that because I can't find anything I don't want to proxy.
You couldn't make a cohesive list. But supposedly, so first off, it appears that they're their own army now, which probably needed to happen.
Yeah.
That's what they need to do with fucking Slaves to Darkness. They need to do that so badly.
Own army.
I mean, well, they've cut them back so much that essentially they are kind of just Warriors of Chaos again. But I would have liked to have just had Human Barbarians and then Warriors of Chaos as separate factions so that you could focus on one or the other. Because it's like, now it's like, oh, well, I can just put this chaff in the game. But, so for Cruel Boys now...
$290 for the Vulture one? Oh, man, that seems like such a good price to me, just based off...
He's the guy I thought he was a spellcaster.
I think he's a spellcaster, or he was.
It says kill a boss.
The the flyer.
No, the Mouth of Mork. The Mouth of Mork is on a vulture, I think, and he's a spellcaster.
Oh, he's like the special leader of the whole
So
thing.
I don't know.
He's
Yeah,
like
I don't know if the Killaboss is.
Yeah. It might be a swamp caller, the shaman swamp caller with pot rot.
Yeah.
But I swear they had somebody that was riding a vulture. Who could spellcast. Yeah, I guess
Mouth
I
of Mork.
didn't realize it was a named guy. Like he was actually the guy.
But what else do we have?
Merknob with Belch Banana. No, Belch Banner.
Belch a banner. If I recall, the banner spews gas or some shit.
I just got this idea of someone with a banana bazooka just shooting bananas out. But
the marsh crawler Slogoth.
Yeah. That's the sloth thing that looks so cool.
Is it the sloth or is it the frickin' troll that they ride? The little fucking bondage troll.
I think it's because it's like a...
No, yeah, Sludge Raker Beast. Snatch a boss on Sludge Raker Beast. That is the sloth monster or whatever. Or the anteater or whatever the fuck it was. I think that Slogoth is, because Marsh Crawler and then the bondage troll is crawling around on all fours. I think that's what that is. I could be wrong, but Beast Skewer Killable. So they seem fine. They've got their Hobgot Slitters for 100 points. That's their junk inventory.
Yeah.
The Gut Rippers supposedly can put out a lot of damage and they're only 170 points. If that's true, they're probably very good. So, and then Cruel Boys Monster Killers. I don't even know what those are. Oh, that's a Warcry warband.
Oh yeah, I just saw that. They're just showing it.
But supposedly they're decent now. And we have Regiments of Renown, which I am surprised are still part of the game. Let's see here. I actually have this Regiment of Renown. The Zinch one. Ogre Murdon. Oh, Brand's Oath Band is a Regiment of Renown. Of course they're not getting rid of them. They just sold that fucking box for $90. Yeah, and then here's the Legends. I think it's cool that they actually gave these guys points, because if somebody was actually going to play them, now they can actually play them instead of just saying, oh yeah, they're in the game. Maybe they always had points as Legends, but I don't know. I didn't pay enough attention to Legends. I kind of I've learned to let go. I've learned to let go and just to realize I'm never going to field a Bladebringer Herald on Secret Chariot ever again. Or I'm never going to have Festus the Leech Lord on the table. I kind of wish I got one of those old Festus miniatures. That was a cool miniature.
I remember you talking about that, yeah.
I used to play Festus a lot. He's not very good in Warhammer Fantasy, but I used to play him anyway. And I switched him to a generic dude. All right. Well, so what's your initial feelings, Jen, on the kind of army building and what's available to you and the plans? What are you feeling about it so far?
I'm feeling pretty good. Vampires looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And the Lumineth looked like I could see how I'd build them.
All right.
And then the Night Haunt, I want to try them. I want to figure out how to build them. I just don't know what I would use as chaff, and I can't really see them being tanky anymore. Because we're just fresh off of 3, where everyone got a tank increase, so their tankiness was like,
yeah, basically
big whoop.
it was
and you cannot modify it, so you're actually weaker than the ones who can modify it.
Yeah,
and
but this is something we found out at the end of 3rd, and what's going on now is they have that 5+ ward.
Yeah.
It's better than +1 save. And you could get it through a spell. We never got to see it much in action because you'd put it on a unit, and then that unit would just kill everybody that it was fighting.
Yeah.
And they just wouldn't really have to use it. But I've heard, and I do believe, that 5+ ward's better than any +1 save ever was. So actually, I think in those ways they're still tanky, but they're still, and I bet they still are to this day, 1 wound. And that's what makes them fragile, is the 1 wound.
Yeah.
If they ever had multi-wound outside of Hex Wraiths, I think that would be a tanky unit. Now, I think the big thing that you're going to be looking for is what kind of healing or bringing creatures back stuff that you get.
Well, that used to be the tankiness that made the Chain Rasps really good. Because in a 40-man, they got... I think they used to get a buff in 2nd, I don't know. But I know if I had 40 of them, they could take quite a few hits and I could heal them back.
Yeah.
I wasn't as good as the healing of the skeletons that I had been used to, but it was still there, and they could still do it. And the thing with like chopping through 40 mana Chain Rasps when their tankiness was still tanky was a pretty tall order.
Supposedly, it's very hard to one-shot a unit in this edition. I'm not sure if that's true. Some of these units have some good buffs and some good output. I think you can kill a unit. Alright, well, we'll cut it off here. See what that baby's screaming about. Put him to bed. We'll go over the rules at some point. If anybody stayed to watch, I don't know if you get anything of value out of this, but it was I had fun just going over this stuff with Jen. So, good night, everybody. See you next time.